Hi everyone, welcome to Art of the Bay Sessions, where we chat with wonderful artists from around the Bay Area. Before we get into the interview, make sure you hit that subscribe button to catch future episodes and other fun content. Now let's jump into the interview. Thanks again!
And thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. And on this episode, we are joined by our good buddy, Carl. How's it going, dude?
Hey, Fernando. It's going pretty good. It's a little warm today, though.
Yeah, it's definitely starting to pick up. What was weird is that earlier in the week, it was kind of like windy and cold. And then I feel like towards the end of the week, it started just to pick up in the heat a little bit, you know?
Yeah, like yesterday, I remember walking Kachang, and it was like humid at like 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, we were also walking the dogs and my nephew, and then it was around like 10:30 in the morning, and then we were like, okay, it's starting to pick up. Maybe we should call it a day already.
Yeah. Adrian went like SEP boarding yesterday with Eugenia, I think, and I was like, man, it must be nice out there right now. It was super hot.
Yeah, totally. Awesome, dude. Thanks again for joining us on the podcast. Usually we kind of just start off the episode to just see, like, you know, kind of get to know you a little bit more and everything. So if you don't mind, can you give us like a brief timeline of your career? And this one's like kind of an open-end question. It could literally be your entire career, or it could just be kind of more recently on the stuff that you've been working on.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's kind of been all over the place.
Yeah.
All over the place. Well, I guess you know me as like a personal trainer, as well as like, you know, that I do like personal chef stuff, and then now of all the YouTube and all the social media stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a little all over the place, but pretty much going back to when I was a baby, I guess, which is pretty far back. But I swam since I was like 4 years old. So I've been competitive. I've been like a competitive swimmer since like a child, basically. Yeah. And so that kind of is where like my athlete mindset came in, and kind of like when I guess retired from swimming. I kind of like the usual thing is you retire from swimming, you kind of eat the same, and then you blow up. And then I kind of had this like, man, I need to get back in shape. So that's kind of like, I think towards the tail end when I got back in shape, that's when I met you. Yeah. And then as far as like cooking, I went to culinary school right out of high school. And then I worked for at the Oracle Arena, and I was doing like the post-game meals for the Warriors. I did a lot of catering events for like concerts, for like VIPs and stuff like that. And then branched out to do my own things because I thought that was funner.
Right.
Yeah. And then honestly don't know how this whole YouTube thing started, but it just happened.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think just being with Adrian, she's like super talented with like all the graphics and all the thing. I think I was just inspired to do like that kind of form of, I don't know, whatever you call it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing to kind of just like sum up in like a elevator pitch. You're like, well, we kind of do this, we kind of do that. So it's not, you can say it in like one sentence, you know?
Yeah. It's super. I do get that question a lot, and it's like, I have no idea what to say, but I usually just say the one thing that I kind of feel that day.
Right. Exactly. No, I totally get it. Yeah. I think even when we kind of started doing this podcast, we're like, well, yeah, we interview artists from the Bay Area. But then when you try to think about it more, we're like, oh, we kind of do more of this too. And yeah, it's not an easy thing to describe to people, especially people who are a little bit older that don't really understand like this new kind of like content creation era. Yeah, it's a little bit harder to kind of explain that to people.
You know, they usually just have their one thing, they're really good at it, and they've done that like their whole life.
Right.
And then for us now, it's just like we're lucky enough to be talented in a lot of different subjects.
Yeah, exactly. Because I guess that kind of follows up to my next question. Like, since when I was asking you like what your what you wanted me to put for your like title for this episode, we kind of went through it. We were like, oh man, you do wear like a lot of hats pretty much when it comes to what you just said with like being like a personal chef, the video editor, just like everything that you're doing as a coach. Like, So when that kind of came through, like I guess you kind of answered it already when it came to like it was your early days of swimming. But when do you think you started kind of gaining an interest in all those different like areas specifically? Like for example, yeah, like with the with like being like a chef at this point, like what was it at that point that kind of led you to get there? And I guess the same thing for like being an editor and all these other things.
Well, I guess it's kind of embarrassing, but in high school, I think there was, I had a girlfriend in high school who I originally wanted to do like criminal justice or like to like kind of try to find a path to be like an FBI agent or some kind of like agent of that sort.
Yeah.
And then I guess the girlfriend at the time kind of convinced me not to, and it just so happened there was like a career day at my high school, and then this guy did a demo as a chef, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So that's kind of when I shifted over. So I went from wanting to be an FBI agent or something to like a chef, and I'm like, yeah, that's super different.
They're in the same field, basically.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but as far as the personal training stuff, I think the whole athlete thing, like I've always also wanted to be a fighter. Like after I guess I can say retired from swimming. I swam so long that it felt like I was retiring from like a long time career of doing something. But like after that I took up like fighting, like MMA, jiu-jitsu and stuff. And then I just wanted to get back in shape. I remember working at the Oracle, and you go through a lot of steps in the arena. Yeah. And I was just getting tired at the end of the day. And I was just like, man, I just really want to be in shape again. And so that kind of fueled like a lot of just working out. And then I invited a lot of friends to work out with me in my garage. And then kind of just remembered like my old days of being an athlete, and then lost a lot of weight, and then just wanted to go forth and like get certified as a trainer, help other people, because it was tough, like mentally and physically. It was definitely tough to be in that period of I was an athlete my whole life, and then like a few years I'm just like overweight and just working but not very happy. So mentally it was kind of like you kind of look back on like your athletic days and you're just like, wow, I was like that. Like I really want that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how that came about. And then I think as far as like filming and videography, my brother actually started a wedding videography business. And so I helped him shoot here and there, but he gave me the easy jobs, like just manning a stationary camera just in case. Right. Because back then, like these cameras didn't have like continuous recording. So I would have to like really just like every 30 minutes, just like press stop and start.
Right. Yeah.
For every camera. And then I guess I kind of got comfortable and he trusted me a little more, and I found it really fun to do. So it just stuck after that. Like I felt like I was learning a lot from him. And then, just after starting my own like personal chef stuff, I was like, oh, I kind of like the idea of teaching. So there's kind of that whole like that YouTube idea kind of came up, and then starting to date Adrienne and seeing how like creative she is, it kind of just fueled me even more. Right.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. I think from when I remember when we kind of first met and started doing all these different trainings in your garage, I kind of remember like the days when, you were either just got the certification or were in the process of doing it. For people who don't know like how that process goes, can you kind of give us like a time period on like how long that actually takes and some of like the different challenges that go about getting like certified at that point?
So I got certified through NASM, and they have different tiers of support, or like to get certified, they have different tiers that you can choose from. Tiers, I mean by like prices, right? So that's kind of how they get you. But So I actually chose the lowest or most the cheapest one, which is self-study. So you basically have a certain amount of time to learn the material and then take the test. If you don't take the test in that like time, then you kind of have to purchase it again.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like that. And I went through it a little quick. So they send you a textbook. They send you all of that stuff to read. And I did. And that's when I passed. And then they have other tiers of like online support or like workbooks and things like that they offer. And then they have another tier where it's like in-person classes, which is this is definitely pre-COVID times. But yeah, they had like in-person classes that you can go to help you like understand. And I know some of my other friends went through gyms, and then their gyms helped them get certified. And so they would also offer help, which is also like a great idea. If you really want that environment of working in a gym, like, you know, definitely check to see if like your employer would like pay for the test, because it's a huge like financial commitment. Right. And just offer help, because, you know, there's a lot of like support in trying to learn that stuff, because there's a lot of material to learn in only so many months, you know? Yeah. It's like a crash course in just everything mental and physically at that point at the same time. So I would imagine it's a lot to tackle. Yeah, it definitely was. Like in my mind, it went from like 1 cup, 2 cup beef shank to like, oh, this is how your muscles work. Right. It's just like totally different. And so I had to switch off like certain parts of my brain. Yeah. It's like, this isn't so like 1 cup of flour kind of thing. Right. You know, if this muscle moves this way, this muscle moves the other way kind of thing. So
I guess that's where the term muscle memory really comes into play, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Awesome. Kind of going back a little bit to when you were talking about being a chef at the Oracle. I see that, you mentioned that you kind of had interactions with some of like the musical artists there that were there for like VIP. Do you have any like memories or fun stories about like that experience as a whole?
Kind of. I mean, some of the like musicians ask for weird things. Like there are people that aren't from California that just want In-N-Out burger. Right. And like, I have to ask like a lot of times, like, are you sure I can kind of make anything you want? Like, you know, like I can make something from this menu or literally anything you want. And they're like, nah, I just want an In-N-Out burger. I'm like, okay. So I have to drive like 10 minutes outside of the arena just to get a minute. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like weird things like that. Otherwise, I think the things that like, I think most of the musicians, like families, took advantage of the fact that there is a personal chef there. So like, cooking like these gourmet like mac and cheese things for like their family and all the kids and stuff, which is pretty simple for me. But then you get the high end stuff. It's like, you know, they want filet mignon, they want like an oyster bar and like things like that. So, but nothing specific to like a certain celebrity that stuck out. Just that In-N-Out incident with Britney Spears and her people.
Okay. I mean, I guess so. Maybe it was just a thing. Maybe it was during the era where like In-N-Out, since now we kind of have a couple of different locations here. Maybe it was during the time when like there was only one like out in San Francisco. Yeah. So maybe that's why they kind of wanted to get it.
It could have been. Yeah. I just thought it was odd. Like I remember asking to the point where they were kind of just like, man, you're asking again? You're asking me? And it's like, I just like want to make sure. It's like this. Yeah. It's just the first time I ever was like, you don't have to make anything, but I just want to. Can you get this burger? Yeah. Animal style?
Yeah.
Sure. So, I mean, I can make it too if you want.
Yeah. That would have been the ultimate test if like you went to go get it, but you made one and then you bought one and see if they could tell the difference at that point.
Actually, I should have done that. Huh?
Yeah. Awesome. Kind of, going more into like the culinary aspect. I always like asking this question with people who don't go to like a traditional like college, because, you know, I'm kind of the same boat where I went to like an art school. So seeing that you went to like a culinary school, like what would you say are kind of some of the differences, and I guess overall your experience going through school? Like I know we've talked about it, but it would definitely be kind of cool for people who are starting to get to know you, like your perspective of kind of going through that type of education.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a cool experience, and I met a lot of like cool people in that 15 to 18 months of school. But if there's anyone out there trying or thinking about culinary school, honestly, I wouldn't recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I think the industry and how it's set up is just, you know, on paper, anyone can go to culinary school, right? But it doesn't really show how good you are in the kitchen. So most of the time people, it's that whole like, oh, but you don't have experience. So people with experience in the kitchen, because it's like high paced in the kitchen, you know, it's not the most desirable working environment.
Right.
Yeah. You know, and sometimes you'll have chefs kind of yelling at you if if you're backed up, and mentally it's also not that desirable of a environment. But like if someone wants to go like that route of working in a kitchen or becoming a cook or working in a Michelin star kitchen, then I would just recommend them to start cooking in the kitchen.
Right.
In a actual like restaurant kitchen, because I don't think anything in culinary school really prepared me for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of my biggest takeaway. I'm not saying that it was a total waste. I do have a lot of like memories, and I made a lot of good friends, and to see their journey and how all of our journeys are super different. Like I went through the, catering, like mass catering route, and I've always wanted to work with athletes, which I've done. And now have like my own business of like personal chef stuff. And then I see people who have gone like they went to France or Italy, and they came back, and I can see their plating skills are like so good. And, they've worked at Michelin starred spots, and I'm just like in awe, but it's like, Adrian always reminds me we all went through different journeys.
Right.
Like, yeah. But it's like the athlete in me is like always competitive.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh, I wish I could do that. Oh, I want to do that. But like it's kind of just amazing to see like my classmates' journeys in like the culinary field.
Right.
But yeah, like, it was fun. It's hard to say if I would choose going to like a vocational school or like the non-traditional, like, kind of route. I think I most likely would. I just probably wouldn't choose culinary school again.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting because I've talked to a couple other friends that also kind of went to like either a culinary or art school, and we kind of talk about like, what if we went to like a traditional like college or whatever. And it's interesting because I was just saying that my kind of college experience didn't really happen until like my first like job, like full-time job, which is interesting because at that point, like it kind of felt like a college experience in itself, where like you had different teams that you kind of work with, and then they're all kind of in the same way too, where they're just like, it's just that thing of like, you finally get to socialize with people who are in your field. So it is pretty much kind of like the college experience. And then, like for me with art school, it was more of like, you just go to class and then you do this, but there isn't like that same kind of like campus mentality, during the whole thing. So I think that's probably, I'm in the same boat as you. Like if I were to go there when I was younger, like that's the side of it that I would have like appreciated more if I actually went to like a traditional school. Yeah.
I think I visited a lot of friends in college from high school, and that's kind of what I was jealous about, like how well they all stayed in dorms, and like they have this like college group of friends that that they kind of stick with like till today, and it's like, not to say that I don't have that from culinary school, but it's like I just feel like they've created like longer lasting memories in the 4 years that they have together versus the 15 to 18 months that I had with mine.
No, I'm literally in the same boat where I probably only know like one or two people from like that experience of art school. And it's one of those things that I know, like that's literally what people say is like the crucial time where they make like long-term relationships, which is
Yeah.
yeah. What
It's a lot of growth, right? Like that 4 years that people go to their college, it's like that's a lot of growth as a kid to an adult, right? But for us, we're kind of just thrown into that whole adulthood kind of thing.
Exactly.
Like we're apprentice adults right off the bat.
Yeah. No, I think you said it best there. Yeah, because it's literally like, oh yeah, it's you're just kind of thrown in there, and I guess that kind of follows up with the other question I was going to ask you, like. Based on that, because I was kind of the same way where you built networks, but then in my personal experience, I didn't feel like it helped me or prepared me to like know how to get my foot in the door after everything was done. So how do you feel like that went for you as far as like going through that and then trying to like get at that point some experience in the actual industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think you pretty much hit it. Like that's why I think it wasn't worth it, is because it really didn't help me get my foot in the door.
Right.
You know, and I think culinary school, especially the one I went to, they kind of made promises of that. They even made promises that you would be like a sous chef, like off the bat kind of thing, and which is ridiculous. Like, you know, people work so hard just to get that position, or even like just to be like a line cook at a high restaurant is like, you know, when you're manning the grill and stuff, and that's like coveted. It's like, you know your stuff if you're like get to that position. It's like, because the next step is like you're running it at that point.
Right.
Yeah. But like I don't feel like at all like culinary school helped me, you know, get my foot in the door. I kind of was just lucky.
Right.
And when I applied to the Oracle, the chef who's basically still like always checking up on me, and I'm really fortunate to have like him as like my first ever executive chef. And that was my experience of what a leader was, because he's always like checking up on me, and he's always teaching me. Even now when I don't even work for the guy and I haven't worked for him for more than 10 years, he's just constantly like teaching me and checking up on me. And like I got lucky. I applied for it, and he kind of just looked at me and he said, well, how about you just try out and see what it's going like today? And I was like, okay, cool. I had my knives. I was already dressed to the part, because he told me to come in already dressed up, which is normal in the culinary field. Like you'll go in and then you'll do like a stage. So you'll do like unpaid work just to see how you mesh with the team in the kitchen and how well you do. And it's just a way for like other cooks and other chefs to like see how well you work.
Right.
You know? But yeah, I was really fortunate that like after like the 30 minutes of the work he wanted me to do, he was just like, all right, well, can you start tomorrow?
Oh, nice.
I was like, sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I was talking to Adrian about this earlier. And I don't know if it's a weird flex. It's a very weird flex, but I'm lucky in that a lot of the jobs that I've had, I've never really had to interview for. You know, like swimming, I've always taught like at the, you know, when I was 15, I got like a work permit, and then I was already teaching kids how to swim at like 14, 15 years old, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was like my first job, and I was doing that for years. I'm kind of still doing that. So, and then the whole like Oracle thing wasn't really, I didn't feel like it was an interview. I just came in. It's like, he was just like, okay, here you go. Like just throw you in.
Right.
And then with this whole thing, especially with Cene, it wasn't really an interview. They just kind of like our work and were like, hey, here's an offer, you know? Definitely a weird flex, but like when I think about all the jobs that I've had and all the work that I've done, and it's just like, wow, like, you know, I have friends that have struggled with like these interviews or trying to get a job, you know, and it's like, you know, I don't know how to help them. And it sucks. And it kind of breaks me. And I remember a long time ago when like Adrian was also looking for a job, and, you know, she wasn't, there was a good time where she wasn't like having any good luck.
Right.
You know, I was like, I don't know what to do, you know, other than, you know, let's just keep working out, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
it's definitely it's equally like a mental thing at that point, because you're because I think I've been on both sides of it, where I think in the first half of my life, like, it was pretty easy because I was always referenced by like a friend to, you know, like as a recommendation. So that's how I would be like, I would still kind of go through the interview process, but I think it's because my friends had put such a good word in, like even like my future managers at the time would just kind of like breeze through the interview just because I guess like the word of mouth was like good enough.
They talked you up. Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then I think in the later half when you kind of start going in individual paths and like trying to like land on your feet after like a huge layoff round or whatever, that one I think is a little bit harder because you might not know as many people in the different companies that you want to go for. And I think that's where it's a little bit more of a struggle to like land an interview and then like to try to actually do well in the interview. It's a hard hurdle because I've kind of been on both sides. Like mentally you think you're doing everything right and you even probably think you nailed the interview and then like it still doesn't happen sometimes. So I think what you said is probably the best mentality to go through, because I think that's what I did is after a couple of like tries for positions that I kept getting rejected, I literally just went like on longer bike rides at that point where, just to clear my mind and not even thinking about it and just kind of like focus on the future,
Yeah, for sure. But it's like, I mean, now you started this whole thing, and I remember before you started like Grow Can Grow and stuff like that, I was just like, wow, like every time I think about it or I see you post, I'm just like, I'm so amazed, I'm like, dude, you're super talented, right? So it's even that like in those interview process or when you're trying to get a job, it's like sometimes it's hard, or you get rejected. Sometimes it's hard to realize it's like, man, do I suck? Like you go through battles with that.
Yeah.
And so, it's tough.
Yeah.
But, and nowadays it's like, if knowing that I have I've had a lot of jobs in different fields, like with coaching, with fitness, with cooking, and then now all this like YouTube and like what we do with Cene. If someone is looking for another job, I'm like, oh, what position are you looking for? Like what specific, like I'm trying to like just always help. And like you've had people like, butter their bosses up for you. Like, like I want to do that. Like I don't want any of my friends to like struggle. Like that,
right. Yeah.
So I try to do like everything I can to like help, even if it's like far. It's like, if they're my friend, I'm just always trying to do something for them like that.
Nice. No, that's awesome. Like, I think that's the whole point is like, you've been there. So as I think it's definitely like a coach or a mentor's mentality to do that. But I think in general, when you're just like a good person, I think that's what you do is like, you've been through struggles that when you start seeing others go through something similar, you just want to help at that point because like why make someone else kind of go through the same kind of trials and tribulations,
Yeah. Man, we got getting deep.
I know. Well, I think we're gonna get deeper because I'm gonna try to do I was trying to do like a smooth transition here of like, people see you as an inspiration, but now like, who were your inspirations? See, like I was trying to lead up. I was trying to lead up to there, but then we got too deep. With it. But I kind of usually ask folks like, in any aspect, like it doesn't have to be your creative pursuits. It could just be people in your life that are like true inspirations for you. Like, who do you see as people who have influenced you either to like kind of become the person you are, or in general to kind of like sway you into like the different projects that you work on?
Yeah. I mean, usually it's like growing up, it's like my mom would do a lot of the working, right? My dad would stay home and just take care of like the three of us boys.
Yeah.
And I was the youngest. So it's like when I swam, it's like by the time I hit 6th grade, 7th grade, I was doing double days. So he would have to wake up at 4 a.m. We'd drive all the way to Fremont for my morning practice, take me to school, and then do it again in the afternoon, go to afternoon practice and all that stuff. And so, I was around my dad a lot. So I think like he's one of the biggest like influences, I guess, on me just as a parent. Like I hope to someday be like him, not necessarily not work, definitely he had the dream job there. He didn't have to go to work.
Yeah.
But I mean, like taking care of kids is, that's a whole different story. And then at the time, my mom was working 2 hospitals.
Oh, wow.
So she was a nurse at 2 hospitals. And so my dad didn't let her drive either because then she would get a little extra sleep on the car rides to like the different things. So on top of driving me to practice, he would drive her to work. And sometimes, nurse hours are like weird, right? It's like they'll go at 3 p.m. and then be done by 11.
Right.
And then he would have to drive all the way to a different hospital, drop her off at like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then 3 hours later, bring me to practice, and it's like for my mom, it's like she's working 16-hour shifts. My dad's literally like only awake for like 2 hours out of the day, or sleep 2 hours out of the day. So I think he's one of the biggest ones just because, during that time, I can't remember him ever asking for anything, ever complaining about anything. He was just always there. So I hope like in the future that I'll give that kind of support as best as I can to like my kid or even my friends, like, it is just growing up and seeing him just like sacrifice, like, his hobbies, his like, I don't want to say life, but like everything, just to make sure I'm okay, make sure my dad's okay, make sure my older brothers are doing well. And I think he's definitely one of the biggest. So for me, it's like my mom will always be proud of me. Whatever I do, she always supports me in that way. But I think the biggest thing for me is like when whatever I do is just to make my dad proud of like what I do. I think that really affects me.
Right.
Is that weird to say? Hopefully my mom won't hear that.
Well, we'll just make sure we mute that whole part, like for your mom not to like,
yeah. From this time spot to this one, just don't listen to it, Mom. All right, thanks.
We were just talking about random things like basketball. You can just move on.
It has nothing to do with anything. Yeah, you're okay, Mom. But yeah, now, but otherwise, lately, actually, we've been watching a lot of like Terrace House. And I really get juiced or motivated when they always like call out people when they're not. Like they say, like this one person says one thing, but they're doing the total opposite. They're like partying too much and they're not going towards their goals. So they're always saying like, oh, you should like work harder. I'm rooting for you kind of thing. And it's just like, I like that mentality of like someone's rooting for you at the same time. They're very like critical of themselves. It's like, yeah, you're right. Like I need to work harder. I'm going to do better. Like, I think like that whole, I guess that it's a cultural thing, right? To be like, so lately that's kind of like been influencing my motivation and mindset towards a lot of things. Is just like, yeah, I should try to do better. I should like, be better kind of thing. So weird, very weird influence, but yeah. Growing up, of course, I've had those athlete motivations,
right? Just
like, favorite swimmers, which, by the way, is not Michael Phelps. But
you know what's weird is like, yeah, like I definitely want to know who yours are, because in my mind it's like whenever anyone brings up hockey, like the only person that I can still think of is Wayne Gretzky. Yeah. So it's one of those things where like, okay, for people who actually grew up with athlete inspirations, like I would love to hear like who they are, because I want to know people more outside of like the mainstream names,
Yeah. So I was a backstroker when I was a swimmer. So Lenny Krayzelberg, he was like one of the best backstrokers at the time. And then he's much older than Michael Phelps. I was also a butterflyer, but I think later when I started to hang out more with these crazy, like I went to meets where they were like, there were Olympians, and I kind of got to meet like even D1 swimmers and stuff. But I mean, he's not an unknown, but Ryan Lochte, just like his out of the pool kind of vibe and mentality was very chill. And I kind of like that. Always relaxed. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as sports, and MMA was always like BJ Penn. And that was pretty much it. BJ Penn. Yeah. And then I have a lot of like jujitsu like athletes that I look up to, just like in my like kind of team, like Marcus Almeida, we call him like Buchecha. Yeah, it's like a Portuguese name that I'm blanking on the meaning right now, but yeah. And like I train under the Vieira brothers. So my coach right now is Leandro Vieira, and they have a big like team called Checkmat.
Mhm.
And so a lot of like world champions are under that team. And so there's a lot of like those black belts that I really
nice.
look up to that I've been able to like roll with before and completely get smashed, which is an honor and also like very painful.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as video stuff, it's I'm always trying to concentrate on my own things. So I don't really like, there's too many people that I like, I'll watch their things and it's like, oh, I kind of get motivated to do little things here and there. But as far as like, I haven't gone in too deep with like, oh, I like this director or this videographer or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I definitely have a lot of influences or a lot of people that I like to take little things from.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I'm the same way where for the most part, if I kind of put something in there from someone who influenced me as like a kid or as a teenager, it's more of like a tribute shout out, but it's not in a way where like I'm copying their entire style or like mimicking like their entire format. It's literally just like a shout out to someone if we kind of like take some inspiration from them. But I think I'm the same way where like for the most part, I'll just kind of like get a feel of like what the current like industry is, but then from there I'll just do my own spin on it. And I think that's pretty awesome of you kind of having the same mentality of just like, well, I'm kind of just wrapped up in everything that I'm doing, that like as much as I would love to, it's that you're just kind of moving forward with your own projects at that point.
Yeah. And I like what you said, like you put your own spin on it. I think that's what it's all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, like how we like to do so many things. Like another thing that I like to do is play golf. And I know that's like the hardest sport ever. It's so technical and everything, but it's like, and it hit me right when you said it, just because it's like a lot of people teach like the swing has to be like this way or this way, but it's like, you know, there needs to be your own flair to it, your own comfortability when you swing, like things like that. You know, it can't be like everyone's swing can't be identical just because, you know, certain angles or whatever are correct.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just have to put your own thing to it. And I think that's what makes it unique, or that I kind of like get drawn to it. And jiu-jitsu is the same thing. Cooking's the same thing. Right? Everyone finds their own kind of way to make it their own. And so I think it's what draws me to like being a creative, is just kind of seeing the little things that they're little signatures, you know?
Right. Yeah. I actually was going to ask you that as kind of like the next question of like, what are your hobbies outside of like the core stuff that you're working on now? But to kind of follow up with the golf one, I don't know if you've watched this show on Netflix called Losers. It's kind of like it's a mini documentary series for those who haven't watched it yet. And I don't know if you watched the golf episode on that one.
It's been a while, but yeah, I have.
Yeah. That one, the series as a whole is really amazing because there's a lot of different sports that they kind of tackle that I have no background in. Like there's the curling. There's a curling episode, and that one is actually one of my favorite ones, just because it's like it really showed me like how to play the game and like how like all the like politics and everything involved in it, but then like how one person was able to kind of change it. And then same thing with the golf episode. It kind of showed me in perspective like how crazy that game is, just on a logistics point of view of like, this is what you have to do in order to win. And it just blew my mind. Like, cause I wasn't familiar with like the entire sport, and that episode alone just did a really good job of explaining that. And then of course, like the story of like how the person was able to overcome it and see like the positivity over like what had happened in that episode. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but now that you mentioned the curling one was probably the best episode.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it definitely got me like juiced about curling. And then when I would look at YouTube videos, I'm like, I don't know, they really shot the Netflix series really well.
Yeah,
it was like, I don't know if I could watch this.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I do want to like play.
It's one of those things that now, like, if I were to go to like Canada or somewhere else where it's really popular, I would definitely want to see it live now, just because of yeah.
I bet the energy in like the arena like plays a lot into it, for sure. Like just like watching it on a YouTube screen probably doesn't
exactly
do it justice. Like you don't feel the energy.
Yeah,
but it's like you're right. Like if you watch it somewhere where it's like super popular, I'm sure it'll be like you get into it too, like you were into it for 20 years.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, like other than like golf and I know like, since I know you wear so many hats, like it's hard to kind of like think of other hobbies outside of it because you're already enjoying everything that you're doing. But like, what are some of your other like hobbies that you enjoy doing?
Yeah, so obviously golf and jiu-jitsu are one of them. We recently played darts. I played darts for the first time, and I thought that was really fun. Mainly, probably because I was winning. So that might have been a big part of it.
Right.
I'm like, I can't wait to play it again. Like I think there's something in the books that we're gonna go. I think we're gonna go with Adrian's brother and play darts again.
Mm-hmm.
And but other than that, like we really have a goal of trying to learn languages, I think. But we were talking about the other week about by the time we turn 40, how many languages do we want to know, like conversationally at least?
Yeah.
And I threw out the number 4 or 5. So
yeah.
I should get to work on that. Otherwise, that not too much. I think I try to, when I don't have to do any work, I try to just shut my brain down. Because we like you said, we do so many things that it's kind of needed. Like I think that's one of the things I learned being an athlete is like you really need time to just shut down and not think and not worry about anything. And really just do something you either enjoy or something that interests you, something that's different, that just takes your mind off of everything, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like we recently got a PS5. We're lucky to get a PS5. So we've been playing games here and there. So that's been fun. But other than those sports, for me, it's always like sports. I'm always down to try like different sports and stuff.
Yeah. So what you're saying is we're going to go curling after this.
I'm down. Let's go. Yeah. I'm down. 100%.
If no one's invented like summer curling, I think that's the thing that I
think we are going to have to come up with that for
sure. Awesome. What games are you currently playing?
I actually just beat Spider-Man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was a really cool game. I don't really do well with like finishing a game. So I think that's the first game I've ever finished, and it's super short, so it was easy for me to finish. But I'm not sure. I know. I want to say Adrian's been playing like Into the Horizon or something like that. It's like I don't want to say caveman, but it's like it's like
the Hades one, right?
I think so. I think that also rings. Yeah. And then together we've also been playing Borderlands 3.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So those are the 3 games we have on rotation right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good collection. Yeah, I'm on the same boat where I have my Switch, and whenever I have like any kind of downtime, or for example, like I would imagine you as like a video editor as well, that whenever I have stuff rendering, then that's the time when I actually find the time to play stuff that I'm just like, well, my computer's doing its thing now, so I'll just find.
And you don't want to bother it because
exactly
it's like I don't want my computer to blow up. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's literally when I finally pick it up and start playing something here and there. So yeah,
it's a perfect time to shut down for sure.
Yeah. I think you kind of brought up a good point that I was kind of talking to other friends about when it came to like content creation. Since this is pretty much still like, it's been around obviously since like the early YouTube days, but I would say probably within the last 10 years, it's become like a real profession for folks. How would you say your experience has been so far when it comes to that, like of not burning yourself out or just kind of like going in too many different directions? Because it is still like a field where like there isn't the perfect formula to find like either success or just like for yourself, just like to know like when to call it like a day or whatever. So what would you say is your kind of advice of like for now from the stuff that you're doing to like not cause like a burnout where I would imagine when you're doing something like preparing for like a like a match in jiu-jitsu or boxing or anything that you have like a camp for that, and then after that you do take like a break. But how do you kind of do that for like content creation at that point?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think for like all of this content creating, you always just have to think of the long game. It's not something that happens overnight, right? And you hear that a lot too. It's like, if you're in it for the views and all that stuff, it's going to be a while. There are those accounts that just like, they get lucky. They get that one video that like hits millions, right? But then they can't follow through with it because, but I think what we do and the setup that I find that helps us a lot with it is we have weeks where we have a full week where we're just knocking out filming.
Nice.
A lot of stuff. And so we knock out like a lot of cooking stuff, a lot of the yoga stuff, podcasts. We just run through it just because we're already in that mindset and like having to like set everything up.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure we take advantage of like all that setup so we don't have to like do it again just for one video or two videos.
Right.
So and it's just about like planning like a full week of just filming. And then after that, of course, you got to like edit that. And so editing can just go at your pace. As far as uploading consistency, like I think one video is great. But for us, I know that because we don't have like one specific niche in that we do so many things. And that's kind of what the message we want to share with like everyone is that because not like everyone just doesn't do one thing. You know what I mean? Like everyone has different passions and everything. So we kind of just want to share that. Like, we're just your regular people that are just trying to pursue being better in all the things that we like really like.
Right.
And some people might think it's like, you guys are doing too much. And it's like, and maybe, but for us, it doesn't feel like that because we love all those things. Like it's totally okay. So, but I mean, I guess in terms of filming and editing, that's all work. And then once I get all the editing done and it moves to her department of graphics, she knocks that out pretty quick. And then we have a good week and a half of kind of chill. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. That week and a half, we're doing more things that we want to do. We kind of step away, we'll do the little like, oh, this video is going out today, so we need to do these posts and blah, 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 blah. But for the most part, it's like, let's go on a hike today, or let's go hang out at your parents' house or something like that, Right. And I think that like, that kind of resembles a camp, like you said, like for jiu-jitsu or for fighting, like, there is a camp. So it's like we're building up, our prep is, planning out our filming week, the logistics of our filming week. So usually we film yoga on her end. So maybe that's going to be the week after we film a whole week of food and podcasts because all of that setup is, in this room and in this house. So so we just like work out all these logistics. And then those 2 weeks, we're on fire. Our mind is focused because we know how to like, we've written what we need to do. And at that point, it's just execution, right? It's really easy. There are stressful moments. Sometimes we forget things, but it doesn't get us to the point where we feel like it's too much stress that we burn out.
Yeah. Because
we know that once we're done filming, we get another like week and a half to 2 weeks of break.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what's been helping us. And that's kind of what I encourage other people to do who are trying to get into content creating is figuring out that process, right? Because it can get kind of boring. And I think the fastest route to a burnout is just like, oh, I'm going to film one video on Monday. I'm going to edit it on Tuesday. It's going to go out on Thursday or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, guess what? Like you only have 2 days to like mentally, recoup or recover.
Yeah.
And you know, life happens all throughout that whole like week, right? And then all of a sudden, oh crap, it's Monday. Like I should have planned on Sunday what I was going to do on Monday. So right. You know, and it's like doing a month of that, which at one point we were doing.
Yeah.
It was tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. So just figuring out like your own schedule and what you're going to be happy with, you know, and be realistic. If you can't handle, one video a week, that's okay. Like, you know, play the long game. As long as you put out 2 videos a month or 1 video a month, it really doesn't matter, you know. Just finding that way so you can be happy. Like if you can see yourself doing that thing in like 3 years, 5 years or whatever, and you still think you're going to be happy, then you've probably found your formula for yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't have said it any better, because I think that's the whole point. And I would imagine that's like the thing that you just learn as well from experience, or how you said like you've been there. I'm pretty sure I've been there too when it comes to like any of the stuff that we worked on, where it's like we try to go one way and then we're like, well, do we actually have a plan when we're doing this? So yeah, once you actually are able to kind of like plan out anything, pretty much when you do like a regular job at that point, you have to plan things ahead. You have to be very careful about your time management. So I totally agree on that. And the question I was going to ask you, since like you're probably one of the only other people I can actually ask this question to, as an editor, how do you kind of go about that? Because for me, I love editing. That's pretty much like what I wish I would have known when I was in art school, that I was like, you know what, if I knew an editor was going to be like a full-time job, that's what I would have focused on. But for me as an editor, it's like my favorite thing to do, because it's just kind of like what a lot of people, and I would imagine like Adrian knows this as well. It's like, it really is like my meditative state, where I just do these like super late hours where it's like, by the time it's 11 a.m. or I should say 11 p.m. and the house is all quiet, I just pull it up, start doing my thing, put either like a movie or music, and just kind of just like get in the zone. And then before I know it, it's like 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm like, yeah, I should probably go to bed now. But yeah. Would you say like editing is kind of like that, kind of just like point of, you can just really just get into it, or how do you enjoy the editing process?
For me, it's just, well, it all comes down for me like in the planning stage of it, because we've already thought out the whole storyline and base, you know, and all the shots that we need.
Yeah.
That editing for me, like you said, yeah, it is less of a meditative thing for me. It feels a little robotic. So sometimes, like lately, I've been wanting to express more creativity in my editing.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out if that's, you know, if that comes from how I'm going to shoot something, or if it's truly something like I edit it differently. Right. You know, whether it's like, how do I don't know, express my creativity in post versus like during the shoot. But, I think, I just have this routine of like, I'll line everything up. And I kind of enjoy this because I'll line everything up, make sure everything's all good on the timeline. And then once I get to color grading, I think that's when I really appreciate it. Like I don't find myself very good at color grading, but for some reason that part, because you know how you shoot a video in like S-Log or like whatever log, and then like the colors look like crap, and then when you bring in the colors, you're like, oh, this is cool. So that's when I put like my focus music on, and I'm just like, and I'm just going through all the like color grading. So I think that aspect in editing in itself kind of is where it's the most meditative for me. Nice. Probably because of the music, but yeah. But the other stuff, it's like, man, I'm like squinting at the screen. I'm just like, is this lined up? Cool. And then I'm like watching it over and over again. It's like, okay, I like that. I'm happy with that. Let's move on and stuff like that. So, I think for me, the funnest part is the shooting part.
Mm-hmm.
The editing is easy because I kind of like in our notes of like how we planned out the whole thing. Like I already know, like it's because we have to edit so many videos.
I
have to make it so that it's I can knock it out quick. And if I have a little time, then I can like play around a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, like it is somewhat meditative. Yeah, you're right. Because I have to be in a mood.
Yes.
To edit. I can't just like, I don't know how these other like YouTubes do it where like they were in a plane and editing. Like I can't edit in a plane.
No.
Like I don't understand how they, no, I can't do that. Like I thought I was going to do that more when we were traveling. I was like, yeah, I'm going to edit and I'm going to be like this YouTuber. I'm going to be like this. I'm going to be in a bus or a train, like editing. And I was like, nope, never got in the mood to like edit at all. So for me, it's like I can knock out 2 or 3 videos in a day. But I definitely have to be in that initial mood to edit. Because once I start editing, it's like, I don't want to stop. I don't want to take a break. I want to knock it out because there's a lot of train of thought that goes into it, and then following like our timeline. But maybe I say something or she says something that's funny and I want to like capitalize on that.
Right.
Edit it so we make fun of each other. Things like that. So it's definitely fun editing.
What you just said is perfect because you want to make each video unique and add that unique charm to like why people tune into your channel. And like those are perfect examples, because if you're just going to go stationary and just do the same thing over and over, then like no one's going to like really, they'll get mundane to it at that point where like they'll just see it as the same thing. So when you change it up or put like those little hints of charm between you and Adrian, I think that's like exactly what keeps people like the attention focus and really see it as something unique with every video at that point.
That's kind of as far as my creativity goes when I'm editing though. But which lately that's why I kind of want to put in a little more of it. Not that because I see it's paying off in like our metrics on YouTube or anything. It's just because it's fun for me. It makes it all the views and all that stuff, it is important, but at the same time it's like I kind of just want to we're doing this for fun, like we're not getting paid yet. But it's just it's got to be something that's like funny. If I can call her out on something and I surprise her when she's editing, great. And then unfortunately I get surprised because when it's already live on YouTube. Whereas I'll surprise her still in post. So so it's a good trade-off for her, I guess.
No, I totally get it. It's fun because I think how you said, like for anyone who is trying to get into this, I think that's literally what if you're going to focus on one area, it's just make sure you're having fun doing it, or else like at that point, why are you doing it? Because
why are you doing it?
Totally.
If you're getting stressed out, like if you're getting mad because like I said, like I don't think I'm a great I don't even think I'm a good like color grader or whatever.
Right.
But it's fun. Like it's just fun just to see the colors come to life from something that you shot that was just very washed out.
Right.
I want to be good at it, and I don't want to just slap on a template or any, you know what I mean? I want to like learn every time I get into something. Like I want to learn it from scratch. Like it's kind of like cooking. Like I don't want to buy out a product just because it's faster and easier. Like I want to learn like how to do it from scratch even if it's more painful.
No. I think that's where you get the most satisfaction too, of just knowing like it's something that you created from the ground up. So I totally agree. Cool. So I know that this is probably going to be a heavy question, but what would you say has been like either one of your favorites or a few of your favorite projects that you've worked on? And again, this is like totally open ended, where it could be either the stuff that you guys have been working on or other projects that you've done. And then on that same note, like any personal projects or collaborative projects that have been your favorites?
Yeah, definitely a heavy question.
Yeah.
As far as it's hard to pick a favorite, but some of the things that I have fun doing is like our What the F series on YouTube. Just because I like learning it. Like I have these questions when I go to the grocery store, you know, where it's like, what the heck is this? What the hell is this? You know what I mean? Like, if that's a radish, but this is also a radish, why does it look hella weird? You know what I mean? Like, so I want to like learn about it. And then it also like learning about it, it challenges me to create stuff from it.
Right.
So not only am I learning about the product, but like I'm kind of challenging myself to make food out of it, whether it tastes weird, whether it looks weird, feels weird. Doesn't matter. If I can make something that's edible, then cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of the projects that we do or one of the series that we have that I always get juiced about, which we haven't done lately, but I think that's going to come into the next cycle of planning for sure.
Right.
And our ice cream series, because who doesn't like ice cream? Yeah.
Yes.
I think that was the best thing we've ever bought is that ice cream maker.
Yeah.
So just trying to figure out how to make all these ice creams is pretty fun. Failing in the kitchen is fun for me. I really like failing in the kitchen. That's when I start to like, I don't know, that usually when I fail is when I get more focused and I'm just like, I need to figure this out. Like, what are the possibilities of why this dish didn't come out? Like, why did our ice cream come out so icy?
Right.
Like, what's going on here? And like those usually get my creative juices flowing. And then I start thinking outside the box and then I get all these weird ideas and then I'll try them. So things like that. The ice cream is definitely one where we have a lot of fails just because of water content and in like we have a banana ice cream video that came out today. So
yeah.
Like things like that. As far as like personal projects, ever since like taking golf a little bit more seriously, I'm kind of trying to just shoot better scores in that. I guess you can call it a project, but I've been like practicing a lot more lately. So there's that. Plus I don't really have jujitsu right now. So it's like another way I can channel my like athletic like mindset to something to be more competitive, even though I'm just competitive with myself.
Right.
Yeah. And then everything that we do for Cene, I think has been really fun lately. We're working with this one other content creator. His name is Cartoon Tutor Baby. And this guy's super talented. He creates like, he creates these animations and then he uses, I guess Adobe Animator and
yeah.
And then he does like all this face tracking things. So say like this podcast was like he was, instead of me, it's his cartoon, right? But his mouth and everything is like following his voice and like, so it would be as if you were talking to a cartoon.
Yeah.
And it's like really crazy. So, and he also came up with this virtual shots game kind of thing. So it's like a cartoon and then he gets like a group of his friends and they're playing this random like shots game where it's like, you know, you roll dice and you pick a number out of the die and then it's either trivia, it's either finish the song. It could be like, oh, this is a fun card. Everybody take a shot.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. And it's like, oh, who invented the I don't know, the super soaker, like things like that, like trivia like that. So,
yeah. Oh,
and then
okay.
if you don't,
Gotcha.
if you don't know it, take a drink.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, you're playing with a cartoon, but he is really drinking in real life. You know, but it's just working with people like that are just like super talented. And like, I thought my ideas are weird, but then you talk to like people who are highly, highly creative and talented like that. And you're just like, yeah, that's way out there.
Yeah,
like your ideas are way out there. So it kind of motivates you to think even further and beyond. And you're just like, oh, this guy like thinks crazy, like out of this world. I should be more like that and create that kind of mindset where it's like, oh yeah, if he thinks that's possible, like, you know, like think bigger kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that was a lot of favorite projects.
Hey, that's why I always leave that question open ended, because I know for some people it's like there's so many things that like are personal to them that meant a lot to them. And I think, yeah, you said it best earlier, when you're kind of around like people like him and everyone else like Adrian and you. Oh,
and you, bro.
Nah,
you, bro.
You can throw that conversation out of the way. Yeah, when you're around so many different like creative people that, yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be anything artistic or athletic or anything, but as long as they're creatively trying to do something either for themselves or for like a product, I think that's literally where, yeah, your creative juices get going. It's very similar to what I would imagine like when you have like an adrenaline rush for anything when you do sports, that when you're around that energy from either your teammates or like the arena that we were just talking about with the curling, that it's the same thing with the creative mindset, that once you have this energy of like bouncing things off of each other, that, yeah, it gets you in that mood where it may not necessarily even go into that same project, but it's already getting your juices going for other things that that you have going at that point.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of it just comes like I just get juiced from just like hearing these things and like, I guess it just stems from motivation, right? It motivates me to I don't know, do better, be better, think better kind of thing.
Yeah.
If I know one person and their talent and how far they go, and then how big they think or how far in the future they see, and it's like, and I'm not doing that, and I know like, I don't know, this is super hard to explain, but it's like like when I look at them and they see the possibilities of these extremely large ideas or these out there ideas. Yeah. And for me, it's like, yeah, my ideas or the way I see my future or whatever seems much smaller than how they see theirs. It motivates me to look further. And then I get motivated about that, because then it's like, oh, I feel like my potential just grew. Yeah. You know, and so it's like, oh, I thought I could be like I was a level 8 of potential, but then this person made me feel, motivated me and made me feel like I can pass level 10. You know, there's a possibility that I can break my own view of myself. You know what I mean? Like I can definitely go beyond that. I think that's where it comes from. Like, especially with you, with all the stuff that you do, like seeing it on all your posts and like listening to like the other podcasts, I'm just like, damn, Fernando, I gotta get on that. I gotta get there. Yeah. So
I pretty much just have like 100 people write everything for me. So yeah, that's the only way I'm able to pull out the stuff. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but even when you did that long bike ride, you know, I remember there was a time when I was doing triathlons too, and I was like, I think that was the most I've ever been into bike riding. But like, even still, it wasn't. Even if you asked me to ride with you, I probably wouldn't, because it's like, that's huge. You know what I mean? But then it's like, at the same time, you were training for it. You were, you know, and you did it. And like, kind of just following that journey, looking at your pictures and everything. I was just like, damn, like you did it. Like, that's amazing. Like you pushed yourself. Like, I like to see, it's motivating seeing like my friends, you know, it's one thing seeing athletes in these things, like, you know, they get paid to push their threshold. But like when you see friends really pushing themselves, because, you know, like I have a connection with you, I have a connection with Adrian, and like all those things. It's like I feel like you, the motivation you gave me, like once you and Eugenia like took that picture of like you guys doing that ride and stuff, I was just like, damn, that's crazy. Yeah. I was like, oh, I want that feeling too. You know, like you guys accomplished something great. So yeah. No,
I think you said it best, where I think that's probably the main reason, like literally why we started doing our podcast, is because we just wanted to kind of showcase everyone, and like, hopefully they enjoy that we're putting the spotlight on them. But I think that's the whole point, is like you have so many people in your life that are so creative that you want to kind of like let the world know, kind of a thing. It's just one of those things that either that they don't normally kind of get that spotlight put on them. But I think that's what we wanted to showcase, is like there's so many people who are either underrated, or they kind of get passed over because of how you said, like, there's other celebrities out there that kind of take more of the spotlight. And in this case, like, we want to show that, like, for us, we see them grinding, we see them hustling, and really just like doing it for the same thing. They're passionate about whatever their hobby or profession is. And I think that's the main reason, like, folks like you and Adrian, that we just wanted to do this. And for everyone else who we've interviewed, is like showcase, like, they are grinding, and like we definitely want to put, like, show the appreciation, show the hustle, and everything that kind of goes along with that. So
no, yeah, I appreciate it, like you doing this kind of stuff and all the things that you guys are doing, like even the showcases, like, it was in person at one point, then COVID happened, but you still managed to put something out there to showcase all of your friends, basically. And that kind of pushed us to make this cool, like probably the most creative video we've ever done, like just talking about ourselves and what we're all about, for a video for you guys, what I mean? So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I definitely want to be super respectful of your time, obviously, because I know we probably have to go like shoot a 1,000 other things.
Yeah, it's an editing day for sure for me.
But I wanted to ask you, like, I guess, one bonus question before we head out. Like, since, you and I and Adrian and everyone else has gone through like this crazy past few months with everything, what are some of the things that you're excited to go do again once things start, opening up again, and things are a little bit safer? Like, what are like the first things that you guys kind of want to tackle at this point, once things are better?
Nothing too intense, really. I just kind of want to see the people that I didn't get to see when we arrived back from our trip. I wasn't able to go to that cafe you guys, you and Adrian met up with after we got back. So yeah, like seeing you in person would be nice. Just seeing the people that I haven't gotten to see in person in a long time. Right. It's just as simple as that. Just because, especially like the people that came to like our Bon Voyage party before we left, and all the people that take time to check in, like you always check in on us. You always like reach out to us. And so like you definitely are like someone special to us. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think like for sure I want to see you, and I don't care if we have to work out or we're not work out. I'd rather just eat.
Yeah. I mean, I'm that's the easiest way to get anyone out, I would imagine.
But just to see people that I haven't seen in a long time, without like a whole screen. So
I totally agree with that one, where I finally want to be able to just like actually know that there's someone there and not just like a screen this whole time. Yeah. And then other than that, just I hope I can start training jiu-jitsu soon. I really miss that a lot, because that's part of like, fight sports and just being an athlete's a really big part of me. So it's really hard for me to like let that go. Yeah. And jiu-jitsu, it's like, man, I could be on the mats all day. I don't care if I'm getting like, smashed, but I could be there all day. And I hope I get to do that soon, or I guess it's a matter of whenever I feel comfortable at this point going back to it. Right. But yeah, it's like two people wiping their sweat on each other in pajamas, so it's kind of weird. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. In terms of like when you put like COVID in the picture. Right. Exactly. I mean?
Before I'm like, okay, it's just two people sweating in pajamas and aggressively hugging it out. But yeah, so hopefully I can do that soon. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Like I think you said it best. I think once we start getting back into the normal and going back to those activities. Some might be slightly adjusted, some we'll figure it out like as we go along, but yeah, it'll be amazing to go back to like somewhat what things were at that point. Well, dude, like I know even with this, like we kind of went over, and I honestly wasn't even able to ask you half the questions, so we're obviously gonna have to do this again sometime soon, because
for sure.
Yeah, I think we can even do like an entire podcast just about editing. I'm pretty sure we could just just talk about that for
I'm
days.
Sure I can learn a lot from you.
Oh no. Yo,
but yeah, no, I'm always down for these podcasts. It's actually probably the first half I was very nervous.
Oh no,
I kind of calmed down after a while, but I could feel my voice like cracking. Like
what's funny is my nephew now, since things are getting better, we're slowly trying to like have him socialize finally with like other people and like other kids, and he's kind of the same boat where the first hour he's still feeling people out, where like he's super shy, sticking next to us, and then after about another hour, like especially like if you engage with him just like in things like playing basketball or whatever, then he'll slowly warm up. So that's what I'm trying to do with this, is like hopefully by the time we're at the halfway point, hopefully people are feeling that they can just like sit back. If they want to open a beer, they can open a beer too. Like
you did a good job. You did a good job. It's just me. I'm just not used to being on this side, but now it's like, I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah. And we'll definitely have fun doing it again in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, did you have any plugs or shout outs that you wanted to give out to folks?
Just the usuals. Hit us up on YouTube, Adventures of Carlienne.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone needs reminding, I'm Carl, and then my other half is Adrian. So we combined our names to make Carlienne, and we're always going on adventures. So there you go.
There you go.
Instagram, and also Cene. Cene is a pretty good way to get in touch with us directly. It's a cool social app. We'll hopefully be able to start live streaming on there as well. Some of our content and maybe like cook-alongs and yoga alongs. Yoga practice alongs. I don't know what it. Yeah, but
just add along. Just add along.
Just add along. Yeah. Cook-alongs, talk-alongs. Everything. Yeah. That sounds like a Girl Scout cookie.
Yeah. Right.
That's pretty much it. So yeah, Cene, YouTube, Instagram are our main things. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, like I said before, we'll definitely do this again, and we'll be in the works of how we'll plan out like this whole squad podcast next. So definitely stay tuned.
Yeah. Hopefully it could be in person.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, dude. And yeah, really appreciate it. And we'll definitely hang out next time for sure.
For sure. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Take care, dude.
All right. Later.
If you enjoyed the fun chat, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching.